We all wear masks. We smile at people we dislike, offer compliments we don't fully mean, and nod politely while internally disagreeing. It's the social grease that keeps the wheels turning smoothly in our everyday interactions. But what if this pleasantry wasn't just basic politeness, but a calculated instrument? What if behind the warm handshake, the encouraging words, the concerned expression, and the easy laugh lay a cold, clear focus on gaining advantage, securing position, and maintaining control? This is the often uncomfortable reality Niccolò Machiavelli described centuries ago in The Prince, and its shadow falls far more frequently across our offices, communities, social groups, and even family dynamics than we might comfortably admit. Forget the cartoonish image of the evil villain twirling a mustache while plotting world domination. True Machiavellianism thrives in the mundane, hidden beneath a meticulously crafted, highly convincing layer of charm, competence, reliability, and apparent goodwill. It operates in the gray areas where ambition meets pragmatism, where the drive for security or influence bumps against ethical boundaries, and where survival or advancement sometimes demands actions that polite society condemns, but competitive environments quietly necessitate. Machiavelli's core insight was startlingly simple, yet revolutionary and deeply unsettling for his time. The rules for acquiring and holding power are fundamentally different from the rules for being a morally good person in private life. A leader, or anyone seeking to maintain influence or security, he argued, must be prepared to act decisively, even ruthlessly, to lie, manipulate, break promises, instill fear, or prioritize expediency over kindness, if those actions are demonstrably essential to preserving their authority, position, or ensuring the stability of their realm, be it a nation, a company, a department, or even a social circle. Morality, while admirable and desirable in personal relationships and for social harmony, becomes a dangerous luxury, even a liability, when the stakes involve control, survival, or preventing chaos. Think about it practically, stripped of historical grandeur. Imagine you're the manager of a busy grocery store. You have a popular employee, Dave. Dave is naturally charismatic. Customers seek him out, adore his recommendations, and his knowledge of inventory and suppliers is unmatched. But Dave also subtly undermines your decisions in team meetings, whispers criticisms about your leadership style and competence to other staff members during breaks, and is clearly positioning himself through alliances and showcasing his indispensability to take your job when the opportunity arises. You like Dave personally. You enjoy chatting with him. Firing him would cause immediate disruption, customer complaints, team morale dip, and a scramble to cover his shifts. The pleasant, conflict-avoidant, nice path is to ignore the whispers, praise Dave publicly for his customer service, maybe even give him a small bonus, and hope his ambition fades or that he develops loyalty. But Machiavelli would warn that this is naive. Keeping Dave unchallenged is nurturing a direct, capable threat to your position and, by extension, the store's smooth operation, your state. The effective move for securing your own position and the store's stability might be to meticulously document minor performance issues he might have, a slightly late arrival recorded, a small stocking error noted. Use this accumulated, verifiable record as justification to move Dave to a less critical, less customer-facing department, like overnight stocking or back-office inventory, all while expressing sincere regret about the necessary restructuring for efficiency, or leveraging his skills in a new area, and maintaining a consistently friendly, supportive outward demeanor. The pleasant smile, the words of regret, the public acknowledgement of his past contributions. They mask the necessary, calculated action to neutralize the threat without creating a martyr or triggering open rebellion. the appearance of fairness and necessity is maintained. One of Machiavelli's most famous and frequently misapplied or oversimplified concepts is the idea that the ends justify the means. He didn't mean that any goal, no matter how trivial, selfish, or cruel, justifies any action, no matter how horrific or destructive. His focus was laser-specific on the leader's paramount, non-negotiable goal, maintaining power and the stability of the state or organization or position. He argued pragmatically that if the successful outcome, keeping control, preventing chaos, ensuring survival of the entity, demonstrably necessitates actions that are morally questionable or conventionally bad, like calculated deception, strategic omission of truth, temporary harshness, or breaking a promise when keeping it is more damaging, then those actions become acceptable, even necessary, within the specific context of leadership and survival. The end of stability and continuity justifies the means required to decisively achieve it. Consider a real-life corporate scenario unfolding right now in countless boardrooms. A mid-sized company faces a disastrous financial quarter, with projections showing potential bankruptcy within 9 months if drastic action isn't taken. The CEO and a tight inner circle, no significant layoffs, perhaps 20% of the workforce, are almost inevitable in about 6 months to cut costs sufficiently and attract emergency investment. Announcing this harsh reality immediately and transparently, however, would likely trigger instant panic. Key talent, the very engineers, salespeople, or project managers essential for navigating the immediate crisis, completing critical projects to maintain value, or even for a potential recovery, would immediately start looking for and accepting new jobs elsewhere. This exodus would cripple the company immediately, making recovery impossible and accelerating its demise. The moral path of full transparency could be suicidal. The Machiavellian approach. The CEO publicly projects unwavering confidence and calm. Company-wide emails and meetings emphasize resilience. We have a solid plan. We're navigating headwinds. We're a strong team and we'll weather this storm together. Consider a real-life corporate scenario unfolding right now in countless boardrooms. A mid-sized company faces a disastrous financial quarter, with projections showing potential bankruptcy within 9 months if drastic action isn't taken. The CEO and a tight inner circle, no significant layoffs, perhaps 20% of the workforce, are almost inevitable in about 6 months to cut costs sufficiently and attract emergency investment. Announcing this harsh reality immediately and transparently, however, would likely trigger instant panic. Key talent, the very engineers, salespeople, or project managers essential for navigating the immediate crisis, completing critical projects to maintain value, or even for a potential recovery, would immediately start looking for and accepting new jobs elsewhere. This exodus would cripple the company immediately, making recovery impossible and accelerating its demise. The moral path of full transparency could be suicidal. The Machiavellian approach. The CEO publicly projects unwavering confidence and calm. Company-wide emails and meetings emphasize resilience. We have a solid plan. We're navigating headwinds. We're a strong team and we'll weather this storm together. Machiavelli understood with profound clarity that perception is reality, especially in the fragile theater of power dynamics. It's not enough to merely be powerful, competent, or secure. You absolutely must look powerful, decisive, virtuous, generous, and strong, consistently and convincingly, even if your actions behind the scenes sometimes require behaviors starkly opposite to these admired virtues. Why? Because people, followers, employees, voters, colleagues are profoundly influenced by appearances, symbols, and narratives. A leader constantly perceived as weak, indecisive, stingy, dishonest, or cruel will rapidly lose support, respect, trust, and ultimately their position. The erosion can be subtle but fatal. Therefore, a core Machiavellian move is to carefully stage and manage the desired perception, to perform the role required for stability and control. Think of a local politician running for a crucial mayoral election. They might arrange for a very public, well-photographed, and widely reported, leaked to friendly journalists, donation of a significant sum to a popular children's hospital just 3 weeks before Election Day. Is the donation beneficial? Absolutely. Does the hospital genuinely appreciate the funds? Undoubtedly. Is the cause worthy? Completely. But is the primary driver and timing motivated purely by genuine selfless compassion, or by the strategic calculation that this highly visible act of generosity will dominate local news cycles, sway undecided voters emotionally, generate positive media coverage framing them as caring, and directly counter any opponent's narrative of them being out of touch or self-serving? Machiavelli would strongly suspect the latter, advising that the carefully manufactured appearance of generosity and community spirit is paramount for gaining the votes needed to secure power. The act itself is real, but its presentation and timing turn it into potent political theater. Similarly, consider a mid-level manager in a competitive corporate environment. They might make a grand, unexpected show in a large team meeting of praising a relatively junior employee's minor but well-executed contribution to a recent project. They lavish specific compliments, highlight the positive impact it had, and perhaps even announce a small, immediate spot bonus or reward right there. While the praise might be technically accurate and the contribution real, the manager's deep, unspoken motivation might not be pure, spontaneous appreciation for that one individual. It could be a deliberate, calculated tactic to cultivate an image across the entire team of being a supportive, observant, appreciative, and rewarding leader. This performance aims to boost overall team morale and, crucially, foster loyalty specifically to them, making the team more cohesive under their leadership and less likely to be poached or demoralized by rivals. The pleasantry, the public praise, the small reward is a performance, a tool consciously deployed to shape how others perceive and emotionally respond to the manager, thereby solidifying their influence and control within their domain. However, Machiavelli wasn't naive about the limits of pleasantry. He knew there are critical moments when charm and appearances fail, when threats are too direct, too dangerous, or too entrenched and decisive, even harsh. Action must be taken. And crucially, seen to be taken clearly and authoritatively. His key tactical advice for such moments was brutally pragmatic. If you must inflict harm, be cruel, or deliver severe punishment to eliminate a serious threat, enforce your will decisively, or deter future challenges, do it swiftly, decisively, completely, and ensure the reasons are clearly understandable to observers, even if not liked or agreed with. Then, as quickly as possible, deliberately revert to the normal state of pleasantry, stability, and even generosity. Prolonged, hesitant, half-hearted, or inconsistently applied cruelty is disastrous. It breeds simmering resentment, paralyzing fear that stifles initiative, and ultimately creates fertile ground for conspiracy and greater danger. Drawn-out suffering gives opponents time to organize, victims time to plot revenge, and bystanders time to question your motives and strength. Swift, overwhelming, conclusive action, followed by a deliberate and visible return to calm, normal operations and even benevolence, is more likely to be grudgingly accepted as a harsh but necessary measure. The lesson is delivered, the threat removed, and then the environment is stabilized. Imagine a successful family-owned restaurant, a local institution known for its warm atmosphere. The owner, through a trusted source, discovers their beloved head chef, Maria, isn't just planning to leave for a better offer, but is secretly negotiating to open a competing restaurant directly across the street. Worse, Maria is actively poaching key line cooks and sous chefs, and has meticulously copied signature recipe books, planning to replicate the menu. The pleasant emotional path is agonizing. Confront Maria gently in private, appeal to her loyalty and years of collaboration, offer a substantial raise or partnership stake, express deep personal hurt, hope she relents and stays. The Machiavellian path recognizes this as an existential threat. The owner summons Maria immediately before her plans solidify, confronts her directly and calmly with the gathered evidence, witness statements, copied documents, details of her negotiations for the rival location, the swift strike, fires her on the spot for gross breach of trust, confidentiality, and attempted sabotage, the decisive, complete action. Immediately gathers the entire remaining staff, kitchen, front of house, cleaners. Clearly, factually, and without melodrama, explains Maria's actions. Her plan to open a direct competitor using stolen recipes and poached staff, emphasizing the existential threat this posed to their jobs, the restaurant's survival, and their shared livelihood, providing the understandable self-preservation reason. Then, without delay or lingering on the negativity, announces the immediate promotion of a loyal, competent sous chef, perhaps offers a small, unexpected bonus or free meal to the entire team for their dedication during this challenge, and passionately emphasizes unity, moving forward together, and the continued strength of their family, the rapid, deliberate return to pleasantry, support, and stability. The brief, intense period of necessary harshness, swift firing, public explanation of betrayal, serves to eliminate the threat decisively, justify the drastic action based on collective survival, and serve as a stark deterrent to others. The immediate pivot back to positive reinforcement, opportunity, promotion, and unity aims to rebuild morale, reinforce loyalty to the owner and the establishment, and restore operational normalcy as quickly as possible. This prevents the far greater chaos, potential mass defection, and almost certain business collapse Maria's successful defection would have caused. Crucially, Machiavelli emphasized adaptability and pragmatism above rigid ideology or fixed personality traits. The world is unpredictable. Fortunes shift rapidly. New threats emerge unexpectedly. Unforeseen opportunities arise. Contexts change dramatically. A leader or anyone seeking to maintain influence, who clings doggedly to absolutes like always being nice, never telling a lie under any circumstances, or always forgiving transgressions, will inevitably be outmaneuvered, undermined, and overthrown by someone more flexible, observant, and ruthlessly pragmatic. The key Machiavellian skill is the ability to accurately read the necessity of the specific moment, context, and threat level. When times are peaceful, support is strong, resources are ample, and threats are minimal or distant. Generosity, mercy, forgiveness, and open collaboration are incredibly effective tools. They build deep reservoirs of goodwill, trust, and loyalty that are invaluable long-term assets. Appearing benevolent strengthens your position. But when a genuine crisis erupts, a fierce new competitor emerges with predatory tactics, a rebellion or serious internal challenge sparks, a financial disaster looms, or a key ally betrays you. Hesitation, perceived weakness, indecisiveness, or an unwillingness to make tough, potentially unpopular choices can be fatal. The ability to shift gears seamlessly and convincingly, from the supportive, approachable, pleasant collaborator to the ruthless, focused, decisive enforcer when required, and then smoothly back again to the benevolent, unifying leader once the immediate threat is neutralized and stability is restored, is paramount for enduring success. Consider the archetypal journey of a successful tech startup founder. In the chaotic, brutally competitive early days, survival is the only imperative. The founder might embody fierce aggression, ruthlessly undercutting competitors on price even at a temporary loss, poaching key engineers and designers from rivals with inflated promises or equity offers they know are optimistic, stretching the truth or omitting risks when pitching to secure vital venture capital, and quickly, coldly, firing underperformers or those not fully aligned with the punishing pace, the necessary harshness, deception, and decisiveness for survival and initial traction. Relationships might be viewed transactionally. Sentiment is a luxury. However, once the startup achieves significant market share, becomes profitable, and evolves into an established, dominant powerhouse, that same founder often undergoes a visible strategic transformation. They consciously cultivate an image of the wise, responsible, benevolent visionary, establishing generous employee stock option plans, funding high-profile philanthropic initiatives aligned with the company's brand, championing work-life balance and mental health benefits, speaking eloquently at conferences about ethical AI, sustainability, and corporate social responsibility, the strategic generosity and virtue signaling. This shift isn't necessarily hypocrisy, it's adaptation. The core, unchanging objective, acquiring and maintaining power, influence, and the company's success, their state, remains constant. Only the tactics evolve dramatically, adapting fluidly to the demands and expectations of each distinct phase. Early-stage tactics would destroy a mature company's reputation and culture. Mature-stage benevolence would have doomed the fragile startup. The Machiavellian leader understands and executes this pivot. Even kindness itself, in Machiavelli's dispassionate analysis, could be transformed into a potent strategic weapon rather than being viewed solely as a moral virtue. Performing favors, granting requests, or showing leniency creates a tangible sense of obligation and debt in the recipient. Being perceived widely as generous, approachable, and supportive fosters dependence, builds valuable reservoirs of goodwill, and creates a network of individuals who feel personally indebted. However, he offered specific tactical advice on dispensing kindness effectively for power consolidation. Distribute favors yourself, personally, gradually, and in small, manageable increments. Avoid delegating the distribution of crucial rewards, promotions, or significant punishments. These are golden opportunities to bind people directly and personally to you, not to a faceless system, a committee, or a subordinate manager. Doing one enormous, highly visible favor creates a large, but potentially short-lived debt of gratitude. People often forget big favors over time, or worse, come to resent the power imbalance they create, feeling owned rather than grateful. Conversely, consistently granting smaller, personalized favors yourself, approving a slightly longer lunch break for a stressed employee here, offering a flexible deadline on a minor task there, providing a small, unexpected personal bonus for specific extra effort, discreetly helping resolve a non-work issue, creates a continuous drip of perceived personal goodwill and attention. Each small act reinforces the recipient's feeling of a direct personal connection and obligation specifically to you. It builds loyalty incrementally and sustainably. A savvy department head understands this dynamic intimately. They make a point of personally handling the approval of minor spot bonuses or time-off requests. They take the time to intervene directly and favorably to resolve a scheduling conflict for a stressed employee, framing it as a personal favor. They offer direct, personal, specific praise for a job well done in a one-on-one conversation rather than only informal reviews. They might discreetly offer advice or a small resource to help someone with a professional development goal. They avoid simply hiding behind annual company-wide reviews or impersonal bureaucratic HR policies for recognition, rewards, or even minor disciplinary actions. By personally dispensing these small pleasantries, acts of consideration, and rewards, they weave a dense web of personal loyalty and obligation that transcends the formal organizational chart. The seemingly kind, personal act becomes a deliberate, powerful tool for consolidating personal influence, gathering intelligence, and securing power within the larger impersonal system. It makes people feel seen and valued by you, not just by the company. Therefore, the next time you encounter that disarmingly charming colleague who always knows the precisely right thing to say in every situation, the leader whose confidence seems utterly unshakable even in a storm, the friend who navigates complex social minefields with seemingly effortless grace, always landing on their feet, the acquaintance whose generosity or support feels just a little too perfectly timed to benefit their standing, or even that individual whose outward pleasantness feels slightly impenetrable. Pause. Look deliberately beneath the surface layer of pleasantry. Scrutinize the actions, the timing, the consistency, and the outcomes. Is this smoothness a manifestation of genuine warmth, deep empathy, and unwavering integrity? Or could it be a meticulously crafted strategy, a conscious, sustained performance designed to disarm, influence perceptions, secure subtle advantages, neutralize potential threats, build indispensable networks, and ultimately maintain control or ascendancy? Machiavelli compels us to confront the often unsettling, frequently denied reality that power, influence, and even basic security within complex social and professional structures rarely thrive on noble intentions, unvarnished honesty, and consistent kindness alone. Success, particularly in competitive, high-stakes environments, be it climbing the corporate ladder, navigating community politics, building a business, or maintaining standing in certain social hierarchies, frequently involves a complex, ongoing, often invisible dance between projecting what seems good, virtuous, reliable, and pleasant, and doing what is deemed necessary, effective, and decisive for one's goals, security, or survival within that specific context. The warm smile, the encouraging word, the timely offer of help, the public display of virtue or confidence, they might very well be genuine expressions of character. Or they might be the most sophisticated, effective, and frequently employed tools in that person's strategic arsenal. Recognizing this fundamental difference, this potential duality beneath the universal mask of pleasantry, isn't necessarily about descending into paralyzing cynicism or distrusting everyone. It's about developing a clearer, more realistic lens through which to understand the subtle, complex, and sometimes harsh interplay of power, perception, and pragmatism that operates constantly beneath the veneer of everyday civility and social niceties all around us. It's about seeing the intricate game being played, often by very pleasant people, even if you consciously choose not to play by all of its less savory rules. Machiavelli's enduring power lies in daring to lift that mask, revealing the calculated realities that often lurk beneath the surface of a smile. Seek wisdom